having this outreach today. The Asahasata officials, they need Sweetwater, they didn't Kaisani. But there are constituents here in Rock Point. Chiyanchi Banahas senior citizen. But so I'm listening and the response this morning, and I'm thinking maybe one of the first things that we need to do as a nation, as chapter officials and council delegates, is to develop a standard. What kind of roads are we going to have within the boundaries of the Navajo Nation? If you're going to build a road on the Navajo Nation, whether it's BIA, Apache County Road, Navajo Nation Road, let's create that standard and abide by that standard. Because Kadeo, roads are bladed, roads are, and how we take care of that road creates all the issues that we have today. How we either mismanage these projects for the last 30, 40 years. Those are the issues that we're facing right now. So one of the priority projects for us is 8070, the road that goes from past the Speedway into Rough Rock. I know we met with Apache County and Mr. Peterman several times to identify areas, problem areas, to either build up the road, install culverts. And I think that's the Apache County's next project. So people from the area that live in that area ask about that, and what's the holdup? That's the question that we get. And then this bridge here that leads into 8070, and this other road to the west. It's a one-lane bridge, and this bridge was built in the early 80s, I think, when I was a kid. And so right now, within the last 30, 40 years, the number of traffic has increased. So now somebody has to wait on the other side, or each side, wait for the other person to come through. So that creates a hazard. And when we create these roads and how we maintain these roads, the end result should be, how do the people benefit? Is this safe for our people, the people who travel on these roadways? That should be our number one priority. So, and then there's a road that comes through here, I think it's 8014. Past the bridge, you go north. I think one is a county road, the one that goes straight through the Cockleshells and the yellow hair meets up with the county road. And that's a sandy area. So our operator was out there this week removing some of that sand. And I think NDOT or BIA had dumped some gravel, those old asphalt out there to help with the sandy areas. So that kind of solved some of that issue, the sandy roads issue. But then we also have to keep maintaining it to avoid that sand buildup again. And then we also have Route 353, the NDOT Route 353 that starts about a mile down here, Ta'i'a. It loops around through N35. And it continues south of N35. And it comes back out by that large canal. And that road is a Navajo Nation road. And I think the last time it was graded was a few months ago, right before it rained. And then it rained and it hadn't been done again. So there's some areas that water comes out from the canyon, and it creates a wash, and that never gets fixed. And so I kept asking for a culvert, and it comes back down to the ARC sites. And my question has always been, who do we protect? The people who are currently living, or the answers that have passed hundreds and thousands of years ago? So we had to make that judgment. For me, I think we protect the people who travel those roadways. For so often, for so long, we use that as a reason not to improve these roads, to maintain these roads. But we don't protect our people who are living today. And so in 8009, that's been a big issue for us, about 4 or 5 miles down. And it loops around into Round Rock, 8009 and 8008. The same thing, if it rains in Sweetwater, water gushes down those canyon Maidasata across 191. So you've seen that pile of sand sitting there by the roadside. So we sold some to Round Rock not too long ago. So it's sitting on their property as you go down the canyon. So anyway, no, we didn't sell them. ADOT moved them there. So that's also an issue. I guess road, we also have to consider the waterways. How does water travel? Because a good example is 8009. There's like a fourth of a mile that was repaired, that was fixed about a year ago. It didn't last a year. And that big storm came through, washed it all out. So when we think about roads improvement, road maintenance, we have to consider the waterways so that the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are invested in these projects don't get washed out by one rainstorm in less than an hour. And 8009 runs into Round Rock, and there's a canyon there, and I think the county number is, I wrote it down, but there's a small canyon that comes out that 8009 crosses. That gets washed out, but that's still a Navajo Nation road. So that needs to be addressed, and that's also a bus route. A lot of our kids live in that area, and our elders. And then 8009 and 8008, where it intersects the Pahis neighborhood, they've been asking for a culvert to be installed so that road is passable. So those are some of the areas that we have. And N35, it's a paved road that goes into Sweetwater. All those cattle guards are filled with ish. Those of us who live nearby, when we drive, this is all clay. And the pavement only ends about maybe 30 feet? But we still carry the vehicles carry those mud into the cattle guards. So we passed resolutions to get those cleaned up, but they still remain the same. And again, our relatives that live up the mesa towards the mountain in Sweetwater, Carrizo, they end up with snow drifts. And they're not always Navajo Nation Road. They might be residential roads to their homes. So we try so hard to get those cleared for them, but we always don't get there in time. And there used to be a small airstrip here in Rock Point. And during COVID, and I'm also the executive director at the Lutheran Mission across the street. So we did a lot of outreach for our community members here and neighboring chapters and bringing in food and bringing in PEPs because everything was stored at the fairgrounds. So people were flying in from Cedar City or from Denver and Salt Lake. So then I had to drive to Chinle or to Kayenta, to the airport, to pick up the materials and the donations. And they asked me, like, where can we land that's close? I said, we used to have an airport, but that closed. And so I think the question is, how do we revisit that to open up the airstrip again and to fence it in so the animals don't wander onto those roads for future emergency response. So those are, and 9/11 created us, showing us areas that we're lacking, areas that we need improvement. And then Apache County has 26 miles of road in Rock Point, and I'm not sure how many miles of Navajo Nation roads are in Rock Point. So those are some of the areas. And blading. And like I said, I started out my presentation with saying that we need a standard. We need to create a standard. This 8009 used to be one of the best roads in Rock Point. If you drive there now, it's almost as deep as Grand Canyon. We keep blading, and the dirt just keeps sinking. So there's like, what, a 20-foot canyon on each side. And where does water go? Where does water travel? To the least resistant. That's where water travels. So now, when those roads, the NDOT roads, are flooded, people drive on top of that canyon. And then the community members ask us, how come you don't blade that road? Because that's not designated road. So some of the areas may need to be realigned and then improve how we take care of these roads so that we don't create another canyon. So thank you. And I know Apache County does, I forgot what they call road inventory on how many kids travel these roads. As a staff member at the mission, we have a private school there. I don't think we've ever received a visit from the Navajo Nation to ask us how many kids travel on these Navajo Nation roads. So there might be that information lacking, but Apache County does in the springtime. So we sit down and look at these roads and say, these Apache County roads, how many kids travel on these roads from our school? So if he has not done that, maybe that's what we need to do. And as we all know, every road, Apache County, BIA Road, and Navajo Nation Road, we have elders who live along these routes that may not have a way to get out if we don't take care of the roads. So it becomes a safety issue. It becomes a survival issue for all of us. So okay.
Thank you, sir.
We'll go on ahead and start with Mr. Rains, and then Ms. Roy, and then Mr. Peterman.
Hey, thank you for the questions. Yes, so back to the airstrip. I'll come out and do an assessment. I just did one over in Pine Springs. They had an old BIA airstrip that was dirt back in the 1930s over there because it's kind of a dead-end community, you know, one road in, one road out kind of community. And I went there, I noticed that the environment, you know, has just taken over the whole roadway. So, but back to maybe like with FEMA and emergency services, we might be able to put a heliport over here somewhere to help with the surrounding communities. And since Chinle has an airport, it's been doing a brand new construction right now. It should be open around June 24th, I believe, is when the ribbon cutting ceremony will be. I'll go ahead and send out announcements to the chapters around here about all of that. So that if you guys want to participate in that and be there, you're more than welcome to. And I understand that, you know, driving an hour away to get to the Flight for Life or, you know, medevac transport, I understand your frustration there, and we'll address that. And I think, you know, a heliport in this community or within this area would be a good thing. So we have to look at the data, of course, right? But I'll do the analysis, and I love the input. So I thank you for everything and bringing that up. And I'd love to go out, do the UTMs, find out where the airstrip was, and we'll add it to the inventory. And you know, maybe address if we can make it into a dirt strip again. So thank you for that.
So with planning, the resolutions that were mentioned, we will follow up on the resolutions to see if we have the copies of them and then get back to you on that. So we'll meet with Marco Sells and see if he's got those. With the 8070, we have that as a regional route for Rock Point. So that one should be, if money is there, they do maintain it 4 times a year. 8014 is also a Rock Point regional route. 353 is also a Rock Point regional route. 8009, we have that as a Round Rock regional route. And then we will work with Will here on inventory for the airstrips, because we got to make sure that is in the inventory before we can apply funding toward maintenance and construction or anything that he has ideas on. Let's see, for the school enrollments, planners do go out to all the schools. They visit, let's see, private schools, BIE schools, charter schools, public schools. So they do get the enrollments, and then they also meet with their transportation coordinator, and they make sure that all their roads are on our bus route list, because we had individuals come out from Washington, D.C. It was Government Office of Accountability, and that was their one question that they had. We had three or four Anglo ladies that came in and literally knocked on planning's door and said, we want a copy of the bus routes. So we gave them everything we had. To the year before, we had gone out and covered every school we could ever think of with the whole Navajo Nation. So we were just talking about that. Amanda Tolino, our northern agency planner, that we need to go back out there and recover all the schools, even count how many buses are in their inventory, how many students ride each bus, what's the time limit that each of those students ride those buses? Because we heard earlier we had babies coming in 7 o'clock at night. Yeah. So we will follow up on that with you. So if you can get with Amanda Tolino in the back, and then give us 3 dates that we can see which one we can come out and meet with you. So individually, chapters, please come up with 3 dates that we can come out and really focus on your chapter area, and then get down an agenda anything that you guys want, information, follow-up, training, we can definitely do training on our long-range transportation plan, our T-tip, you've heard about that one all day today, our road inventory, and our regional routes. So we can give you all that through our planning department. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, this area right here, Rock Point, it's flat. It's a floodplain. 2 years ago, when that monsoon hit, I was here, this whole place flooded, and even the state road over top was really, really bad. And the terrain, it's sandstone. Then on top of it, you have blow sand. So when we're coming out and trying to do our maintenance, we're either pushing blow sand around or trying to scrape sandstone. It's a really difficult place to do blading. 353, that's on our list, we bladed. You know, we did improvement on 8009. That didn't last. The monsoon came and washed it out. You're fighting a battle down here in this area, in this flat area right here, you know, in the floodplain. It's going to take a lot of improvement. You know, you're talking culverts, that's improvement, right? That's a whole different ballgame from maintenance. But you're in a really difficult spot for a lot of money needs to be brought in to improve your roads here and get away from that floodplain. 8070, right? Carl Slater, Delegate Slater, he was able to get $884,000 of CHASN money. So through an IGA with Apache County, Elta Warner back there again, Joe Shirley's staff, we're taking that fund from NDOT and we're transferring it to the county, and they'll be doing your road improvement on 8070. Way back there where the canyon is, where that mesa is at, where all that flooding's at, there's some big giant culverts that need to go in there. At least we can do that, but we're looking at Apache County to get that work done.